This podcast is made for you. Believe everything we say is true. 1722. 1722.
Take it away.
Welcome to the 1722 podcast, where we talk shit about everything and we don't take shit from nobody.
We don't take shit from nobody.
You're damn right.
Hell yeah, we got some special guests in the house. They just recently opened up for Pennywise and Third Eye Blind at the Brooklyn Park Improv. And for once, it feels nice to not be the oldest guy in the room.
Third Eye Blind were good.
I don't remember that.
This is Mongo, everybody.
Yeah.
Give him a round of applause.
Hell yeah. Great band live. Great band.
Hell yeah. So let's get into your guys' history a little bit. We've seen you guys one time.
It's
so
a very short story.
Okay.
It is actually. It really is.
Yeah, because we formed in
December 4th.
November 4th
November 4th.
of 2021. And
Oh, wow.
today is July 20th
You can keep going.
of 2022.
Yeah.
Short story.
Yeah, but that's not
there.
the whole story.
No, there's a deep story to this band, but the story of Mongo itself is very brief
Okay.
because we're a new band.
Okay.
But the three of us have been in the music scene for a very long time.
The old asses.
Probably longer than y'all been born.
So then, what's the history? Let's get into it.
Yeah. Just start from.
You guys were in bands together, and Mongo, or Mongo the first time you guys
We
were
were in a band called El Astronauta, and that's how Corey and I met. And we got to a crossroads where our guitar player wanted to do more like stoner rock and heavy rock, and we wanted to be more punk and pop punk, and it just kind of came to a head, and so we ended up having to leave, and we were like, let's start a new band and play the music that we want to
Went
play.
our separate ways, and there we go.
I've known Wade forever, and he's got just as much
That
of a
really doesn't forever.
I've known him for a long time. We didn't know each other personally until, I don't know, years later, but I knew who he was. He was in the music scene doing stuff the same time I was, all back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so we'd cross paths a lot, and we got to know each other later as time went on. And we just started talking all this time about maybe one day we'll jam, maybe one day we'll be in a band together, and it just never happened. And the timing of this worked out just perfect.
Hell yeah.
So
I basically had to beg to get in the band. I mean, that's how it worked out. Now, we talked about it for a while. Dean and I was in a band, and we lost our bass player, and I was like, hey, man, you want to jam with us? He's like, I don't know if I can play that stuff, which I knew he could. And then we talked about, we both had a love for punk music and, like, social distortion, the whole SoCal thing.
Yeah.
And, I don't know, we just kept talking about it, and I was like, man, he's not gonna get me in this band. Like, that was my whole thing.
Right.
And then finally somehow it worked out.
yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
That's great.
But you guys didn't know each other very well prior then?
I did not know Corey
No,
until we got together the first time to jam.
Okay.
I knew of him. I had seen them play in their
And
band.
I'd stalk you on Facebook
Yeah.
a ton of times.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like hearting your pictures and shit.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean we didn't really know each other, but
No.
I knew if Dean was cool with him, because Dean's a great drummer, and I knew if he was cool with him, then he had to be a good drummer. And,
All right.
nice.
I thought you were doing
I was just saying, you went off, man.
Our album holds ground to prove that Corey is a great drummer.
Yes.
So
Well, I'm going to say two things right now. This is 1722 approved, okay?
All right.
One, my favorite band that's played 127 so far. Just me personally.
Yeah, by far.
Sweet.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Second,
Great
you have
venue.
the most badass drum set I've seen come in there.
Which one was
Yeah,
it?
which one?
Pink one, I
The
believe.
pink one.
Pink,
yeah.
okay. I play on 3 different kits.
Okay,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
Damn,
but
it's up there.
Pink one's are cool.
Pink one,
Yeah.
yeah.
But see, the green ones were in the studio
Yeah.
The
for
green
a
ones
pretty
are-
good chunk of this year.
Yeah,
So,
recorded.
It was the whole record was the green ones.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So he's got lime green and hot pink. And I'm like, what better
And then I got
drums do you
gold
need?
sparkle.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right up your alley.
That's the
Yeah.
nice stuff.
That's the nice drum set. Is the gold sparkle.
Yeah. We don't
When do you
we don't
bust
get
that
those out very much.
Special occasion.
Playing
Waiting
those,
for Wayne Newton.
yeah, I'm playing those Friday at Tidballs.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey.
You heard it here first.
Check
Damn,
that
I might
out.
have to wear a button-up
Yeah,
shirt.
they're my good.
Vote time.
That's a classy kid, so I'm gonna do that.
So the album comes out Friday, and that's the release show.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is this,
July
this is your guys'
22nd.
first record?
Together, yes.
Okay, yeah. And what's it called?
Just
It's
just
Mongo,
Mongo.
self-titled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
It does, if I could say it doesn't, well, can I ruin it for everybody?
No.
It's got a hidden track.
Ah.
We'll talk about that later.
Well,
I think you'll talk about the hidden track.
I just thought about this, but this episode doesn't come out till Sunday, so the record will be out by then.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, true.
So,
Fantastic.
Well, we'll still
So-
talk about the hidden
So it's
track.
not.
It's too early. It's too early to talk about that.
and where can we find this? Is it on streaming
Oh, yeah.
services or?
Yeah, we went with just CDs because Corey and I learned a pretty hard lesson that
Yeah.
getting records made right now is very difficult and very expensive because, of course, records have taken off in sales.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're a major artist or a small independent artist, you get in line and take a number waiting for a vinyl record to be made. And these companies are backed up 6 months, 9 months.
I mean, yeah.
So it's one thing if you make a record and you get it sent to them immediately.
Right.
If you have a due date and you want it to hit that deadline, you better have your shit together in order for that to happen. Because otherwise you're going to put out a new record and be like, CDs and cassettes and digital download is available, but
Right.
the record won't be here for 2 more months.
Right.
So we went with CD only, and the only reason why is because it's our first release and we're testing the waters on that alone.
We don't
trying
know
to
if
build a
anybody will
fan
like
base.
us or not.
But everyone seems to go on, digital.
Right,
Yeah. Bandcamp is great for artists, but
Yeah.
then you've got the big networks like Spotify and Pandora and all that, and of course you want your music out there for the world to hear.
Right.
So it's the smarter way to go, really.
Yeah. So you're putting it digitally and CD?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
We talked about giving it away too. Dan and I talked about this for a while. Is bands like Run the Jewels, they put their stuff out free. You can download it.
Mm-hmm.
And
They did.
They did. They don't anymore.
That
Found that out this week.
They were like,
No more do they do that because they got popular.
Yeah.
But their whole premise is like, oh, here's the music, listen to it,
Mhm.
buy our shirts, come to our shows,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very, do-it-yourself punk rock type
Oh, for
vibe.
sure.
You know?
Right.
Even though it's hip hop, but it's still like, there's like, here, take
Hip
the
hop can
music.
be punk sometimes,
Yeah.
though. I mean, shit. Yeah.
It's
But-
the same mentality. I
Yeah,
think
that's
they
that-
approach
yeah.
things.
But you got
the same
people
way.
like me who's a big fan of them who downloaded all their CDs, but then I went and bought all their vinyl, bought their shirts,
Mhm.
go to their shows,
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of stuff. So
And really, that's where they would make their money anyway.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially
So-
Yeah.
an independent band actually does get the money back out of the sale of an actual CD.
Okay.
So our CDs are going to be $10. So if we sell a CD for $10 through a store, the store is going to keep maybe $2 or $3 of that. We'll get the rest.
Right.
If it was through, I don't know, a bigger label or whatever, you really don't get any of that.
Yeah.
Like it goes directly to the company
Mhm.
that invested into making it.
Right.
yeah,
You know,
can,
you
like,
look
$2
at a
bucks.
CD, it's a fucking product.
Yeah.
You know, it is a Hot Wheel. You know, in
And
a
most
package.
bands,
Like
when
it's a thing.
When they make a record, they pretty much have to owe the label back, right?
Exactly.
So
And
no, they don't
it's-
make any money off
So
it. plus they
independent
owe.
bands are the ones that you see really pushing the, stuff because it's like we physically hands-on made these.
Right.
We didn't ship them off to a company and have all the work done from someone else. Like we We are DIY to the bone.
We didn't do
That was
any.
great.
Nobody did anything. Like we recorded it in my basement,
Yep.
in my home studio. I mean,
We both work in the
Yeah.
print business,
they
so
printed the
we
shirts.
we print all of our own merchandise. We print the CD covers and the CDs themselves. Every bit of it. So if we sell something for whatever we're selling it for, we actually get all of that, which is fantastic.
Oh, that's
it
amazing.
also makes
So buy our record.
Yeah, buy my record.
it makes a better product
Need to
too.
break
Like when we
even.
were recording, we didn't have a deadline. We didn't have anybody telling us how to do anything.
Right.
We
Standard
didn't owe
studio.
anybody money. Time was not money, so we had time to do whatever we wanted to do. And I feel like you can hear it in the record because
Yeah.
we're relaxed.
Pretty relaxed, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the way I want music, is for you all to do what you want instead of a big corporation coming in and messing up what you guys actually want to do. So,
Well, I mean,
I'm all
that's the
for
whole
it.
beauty of punk rock to me.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why I love it. is
Right, and a lot of that history of how punk was built on the whole do-it-yourself mentality,
Yeah.
we completely followed that blueprint, and that's what we've done. But like Wade was saying, though, about how Run the Jewels was like, the music's free, buy our t-shirt, buy a sticker, get a bundle pack. So we've got that, too. So you can buy the CD by itself for $10, but we think we're going to do like a deal where you get the shirt, the CD, and all the little stuff for like, $25. So you're actually saving $5, $6, $7 if you do it that way. And if you already have a shirt, you can give that one to somebody else and keep the CD or whatever, But yeah, we're trying to do it a smart way, but keep the cost low and actually make our money back that we've invested into this.
Right.
Wow.
But it's all about the music.
I mean, if we break even at the end of the day, and like people like our music, then
that's
I feel
really
like we
win-win.
There's
Yeah,
money
exactly.
invested, and you have to look at it from a business standpoint, just because that's the real world,
Yeah, realistic.
But in the end, we just want people to like the music and have a good time.
Right. I love that.
I mean, we're not kids. We're
We're not kids.
Well,
We're
we got-
actually
it's
doing it
dad
for fun.
punk.
Dad,
Fucking rock
dad
ass
body
it's the
punk.
fucking best dad punk you will ever hear. Dad punk.
Yeah.
Well, you got a fan out of me. I love
Yeah,
it.
sure.
There's no way anyone can go see you guys live and not have a good time.
Well, 127 Main's the kind of perfect venue for us too, because they have the same approach and mentality to music. It's all about being raw and real. And the first time we played there, it was like home.
Right.
We were like, of all fucking Morgantown.
Yeah.
I've played there so many times and other bands that were like cover bands and stuff, and that's what you're used to.
Right.
In a town that small and stuff, but to be us and to go in there and do what we do in front of people that actually liked it, it was weird, but that's the kind of venue that we belong at, because you feel at home, you're accepted.
Right.
That's great.
Yeah,
Those
shout
guys
out
are
127.
Those guys are
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
We just
Don't
played
take
there.
shit from nobody.
We just played there.
Too soon.
I'm keeping my head.
Man, this
Don't
man,
take shit from nobody.
this man is done. He doesn't want to go anywhere now.
We still got a ways to go.
I just gotta keep it in my head.
This might be the loudest one ever, though.
Are we peeking?
Yeah, 127, definite friends of the podcast. Jacob's been on here several times. If you guys don't know, Jacob and I have been friends since 12 years old, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a real long time.
Yeah.
We've had many failed bands together. So like the whole DIY ethic is everything
I
we
feel the
believe.
failed
Totally
bands.
understand that. Yeah.
Get it? Yeah.
Multiple
Well, they get it
genres,
too.
all that.
They really do understand all of it. The art, entertainment, music side of the whole thing. I mean, it's great.
Right.
We talked to him the other day before our show a week ago. We played there and we were eating at Firehouse Pizza, which has become like a tradition, really.
I swear to God.
Jacob walked in and we wave him over and he sits down and we were like, man, you need to franchise this thing. You need to have one of these in Glasgow. You need to have one in Bowling Green. And he's like, the light bulb's going off. He's like, I don't know if I can do that. But, it really is a great venue and great guys. I mean, both of them. Just the super, nicest people you could ever meet.
Well, they care about the music.
Yeah, and the music industry, and especially venues, not shaming anybody past or present that I've ever encountered in all the years I've done this. But
hey, Shaman, let's talk shit.
I've never encountered guys as open as them. You don't have to beg for a show there. They call you.
Yeah, they come search for you.
Hey, I got this band coming down from Ohio, and you guys would be perfect with them. Right. They are truly building something. Right. And I really applaud them.
I like taking this in this camera.
We can use this.
Oh,
yeah, clip this. It's 127. 127, share this clip.
He's going to cry in the car and say,
yeah, no, he's going to be hitting the steering wheel.
So if you guys had to say what your biggest influences are, what would they be?
Top 3? Or what?
No, we got to be individual.
Individual?
That's the beautiful part about this band is the diversity of us.
This is going to be the
our influences come out in the music. And I think if you dive into it, you'll hear it.
Corey, you go
first. You start.
And be honest.
Yeah. Oh. Alive at it? Now, my biggest influence, all of us 80s kids, hair metal. That's what I listen to, hair metal.
Gotcha.
So bands like Rat and his favorite, Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi.
they were
Bon fucking Jovi.
They weren't necessarily. They were not necessarily an influence of mine, but it's the band I like. But influence of mine. But Kiss and Rat, some of my favorites, and that's what I grew up in, and really got inspired to do something different, and to be a musician and play and want to go out and be like that. Right. So it's it's hair metal for me. Later on in the years, I grew up skating, and so that lifestyle, that group of kids, it's punk rock, and so
of course,
and thrash too,
and thrash, thrash metal, Metallica coming out at the beginning, they were thrash metal, and that's what you would skate to, and so it's that harder rock is what I grew up on, and really influenced me and what I want to do. So
love it.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, but Bon Jovi's cool.
No, not Bon Jovi. Bon fucking
But the
Jovi.
Bon fucking Jovi.
Make a point.
Bon fucking Jovi.
Yes, the good
The
Bon.
slippery when wet, the 78 degrees Fahrenheit, 7800 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, and then
Runaway.
God,
y'all know way
But by New Jersey.
Dad's gonna be creaming to this episode after all this shit.
New Jersey, I won't put that in the category, but after that, they just...
There's a lot of Desmond Child songs on there.
Yeah, they turned, I don't know, kind of country. And they weren't...
That's true!
Yeah, and they weren't rock and roll anymore, so it's...
He's a young gun.
Yeah.
Young
Guns was the downfall.
I don't know. I feel like that might have been the pinnacle, and then they went downhill.
I mean, they made money off that crap, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't the real.
What was
Bon
the shit
Jovi.
they did with it? What was the country act they did some shit with?
Oh God.
Sugar.
Oh,
was it
fucking
Sugarland?
Yeah.
It was garbage.
Yeah, it was garbage. Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in so long. Damn.
God.
Tyson, you know who Sugarland is? You fuck with Sugar?
Please say no. Please say no.
What's their biggest song?
The fuck am I though?
Yeah, it's country, so I doubt.
Okay, yeah,
Sugarland. What was their big song?
Man, God damn it. I don't want to talk about Sugarland.
You know what? Let's skip that.
Fuck Sugarland, they suck.
The accent of Jennifer Nettles, I can't.
The fact that you know that bitch's name.
Listen.
Oh my God.
I know
He knows the name of the Sugarland singer. What the fuck?
I know a lot of music stuff, okay?
Wow. I thought I knew a lot of shit.
Put your balls away. It's okay.
I mean, Yeah,
you know bitches' names from like Salt and
Jennifer
Pepper and
Nettles?
shit?
Well, yeah, salt and pepper shit.
I've never heard that name, to be honest, in my life.
You never have them. Alright, edit this part out. I don't want to go on after
He's the only schmuck in here that knows names. So yeah, we'll just cut that out.
But the problem is when he said Jennifer Nettles, I was like, yeah, that is.
Well, see, no, it fits in perfect with the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any podcast that's talk more shit about country music. So you're fitting in, playing into exactly what we do.
Listen, I spent a good decade playing country music, so I know all about it.
Apparently. Oh, we'll save that for later, the Garth Brooks story. But
I have two Garth Brooks
what?
stories.
But we gotta save that for later. The question was influences. Influences.
Yeah, so besides Bon Jovi, who's like your other big band that you would say is like your biggest influence?
Oh, Bon Jovi was never my influence.
Oh, that was?
No, that would be.
I thought you guys were talking to him.
There wasn't really an influence.
I thought you guys were pointing.
Fuck Bon Jovi.
I thought you guys were pointing at him that he was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't. They weren't necessarily an influence. It's a band that I listened to. But my other influences were, Ozzy Osbourne, Anthrax, early Motley Crue, just that hard stuff.
Feels like he's basically naming country bands.
Yeah, I was about to say, how you feel about that? He said Motley Crue and Horde in the same sentence.
You don't like metal?
I love metal. I don't like hair metal.
Oh, hair metal.
There's a fine line.
There is.
I mean, there is now. Back in our day, we didn't know the difference.
Everything. Well, yeah. Now
I think if I grew up on it, I have a totally different perception of it.
I think if you were alive, during
I don't know. I
MTV
grew up
era.
during that era, and I fucking hate it.
Well, there you go.
I'll be honest with you. If you were alive at the time, it was genuine. Like those guys truly were into that, and I'll tell you why. Is because the New York Dolls.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, wait a minute.
The early glam.
But I don't have a problem with New York Dolls. I can get into that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more like.
But it was like
it wasn't the
it was
sound and the
sugarcoat
music.
New York Dolls,
it was the look.
Right.
They took the look.
Yeah.
And they merged it with the influences of I don't even know what you would compare.
They took
it to.
the look and put trash music.
I think they simplified it because I feel like the Dolls were kind of punk rock, and then you had David Bowie, which was the look, but also extreme talent, and they just kind of simplified on that and played a little bit heavier sounding guitar.
Right.
So it was just a little bit more distorted, but yeah, between like 79 and 83, 84, it was kind of cool. And then it started getting fucking corny.
Right.
Because the spandex and the bright colors and the hairspray, that's when it really exploded. About 85, 86.
I feel like there was some of it that was decent. Right?
Some of it was
But some of
decent.
it, a lot of it was trash.
But it was also, nostalgia to us because we lived through it.
I lived through it too.
And MTV and Metal Edge and Hit Parader told us what was cool.
And that's what the band Steel Panther is about. They make
make
fun of that. They just do everything to extreme, but it's a parody.
They're like the Weird Al hair metal.
It's a parody of all 80s music.
I say shout out to Steel Panther.
Yes.
Give them their flowers. God damn.
Steel Panther don't take shit from nobody.
They don't. And they can tell.
That's good.
Oh, that's perfect.
But I'm not going to try to act like that it only exists in hair metal either.
Yeah.
Because there's as I've grown up, I definitely see it in punk too.
Yeah.
I grew up on
everything.
the pop punk. That's what I grew up on, obviously, because that's when I was a teenager. So Blink, Green Day, Newfound Glory, all that kind of stuff. And now that I'm 30 years old, I'm kind of there was a little bit of commercialism
MTV
involved that I didn't see as a kid.
Yeah, but that shit was so good. I
still feel like the music was way better. So.
Oh, it was, and it was so catchy. All the pop punk shit from back in that era, especially like Newfound Glory, even bands like Lit who have went fucking country now.
Mm-hmm.
Their shit was so fucking catchy and just so good. It was good music.
Right.
Another band that was their first 3-4 albums were good, like you said, then they got real soft. LIT.
Lit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they went country.
Yeah.
They fucking absolutely made a country album. How do you
I don't know why
do that?
people just want to at some point. They're just like, let's just take the leap. Fuck it.
You know who falls in that same category is Aaron Lewis. Fuck that dude.
Oh,
Fuck you, Aaron Lewis.
Well, you've heard that saying. You've heard that saying in music. If you're into music for the money, you do country. If you're into music just for the pure love of music, you do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I've learned after all these years is people play one thing because they're good at it and they are pushed that direction.
Yeah.
And then one day they're just like, this isn't me. I wanted to always be
want to
country.
change.
Rock stars want to be country stars.
I don't
Country
feel
stars
like
wanna be
Aaron
rock
Lewis
stars.
and Kid Rock did that shit, though. I feel like them motherfuckers was like, oh, here's a country thing we can cash in on.
I mean,
I'm a redneck
that
all
could
of a
be a
sudden.
cash grab
Get
thing.
out of
The
here.
girls in that
Yeah.
one. That
Jennifer Nettles.
No.
That might be the name of the episode, just her name.
I can't think of the fucking name.
What are you talking about?
You've got the poster of her on your door and your
Whoa.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, yeah.
I love Taylor Swift.
She started.
Don't you talk shit about
No,
Taylor Swift.
I'm not. But
Do
she
not
started.
talk shit about Taylor Swift.
No, he's not. I know what he's saying.
No,
She started out country.
because it got her
and
foot
she
in the door.
became
Yeah,
pop.
that's okay.
And
Yeah, but she's
and
a
then-
musician.
Yeah,
I
she's
think.
actually-
did what she
she's
wants
actually
to do.
talented.
Hey, I like
She
Taylor
didn't
Swift
sell
pop shit. I
out.
won't
Yeah.
lie.
She
I
didn't
love
sell
Taylor
out.
Swift.
Yeah.
I don't like country,
Taylor
but the
shouldn't
pop,
take
I
shit
do.
off nobody.
Shit off nobody.
She'll write a song faster than anything.
Taylor Swift is, in my opinion, great because the talent, the lyric writing alone,
Yeah.
I mean, is fucking off the charts.
Especially compared to what else is on the radio.
But
and shit.
she writes good songs, and there's the, I guess what you'd say the corny girls kind of stuff, pop music. But I see the talent.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
by the time Red came out, I was hearing some change, and I was like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
And then when 1989 came out, I was hook, line, and I was in. To this day, I listen to that
Speaking
record
of
all
Taylor
the time.
Swift,
Was it
who are
'cause it was
your
named
big
after the
influences,
Broncos?
Dave?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Like Corey, we're the same age, so I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, and I come from a musical house, and my uncle, I always forget the name every time I'm put on the spot. My uncle went to high school with Sam Bush, and they were in a band together. That was kind of like a rock band, southern rock band, but they were in high school, and they played on the Ralph Emery show, and they played the Grand Ole Opry at the Ryman. And when he got out of high school, he had a choice to either join the Navy or go on tour with this band that was basically rolling the dice. He went in the Navy, got married, and had kids. Sam Bush is who he is today. So my uncle technically was like the first bass player of Newgrass Revival in a way, before what we all know of today is who that band is. So he's like the musical pinnacle of my family roots as far as that goes. His son, Mike, my cousin, myself, and my older brother Brad, we all played music, and my Uncle Tommy had a lot to do with that because he had great choices. Like he listened to the Stones, and he listened to good stuff, but he was also into bluegrass, which I wouldn't say I was into it, but I understood it at a young age because I grew up in a house with it. Right?
Oh yeah.
But by the time, I remember the day MTV came on. Like I watched it, and I was, what was it? 4 or 5 years old.
It came out in
Back when they played
81.
music.
And I was like 4 years old or whatever, and I remember seeing, the music of the day, which would be, golly, I don't even know where to start, but the pop top 40 stuff of the day.
Well, didn't it start with like Video Killed the Radio?
It
song?
did, but
Yeah.
it also had, they didn't have a lot of music videos.
Oh yeah.
So there was a lot
The
of
same-
concerts,
yeah.
and there was a lot of specials, like old shit.
Mhm.
That was like an ABC tape thing. They would show that. So you were seeing like Creedence Clearwater from the 60s and 70s on MTV at the same time as the current modern day REO Speedwagon stuff,
Oh wow.
And then the videos started being made by 82 and 83.
Yeah.
And we were getting pretty fucking badass shit. Not just Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, and
Dixie
Michael Jackson.
Midnight Runners.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes Quiet Riot. Here comes Van Halen, and that's a big one for me. So Van Halen was probably the one I remember the earliest, because a friend of ours lived a few houses down, and he was like, come over to my house and let's hang out in the living room and play. He put Diver Down on, and I was 4 years old, and to this day I remember it because he also had a Van Halen poster in his bedroom.
Oh man.
And I stood there and stared at that poster, hearing music coming out of the stereo that I've never didn't know what I was hearing, and I was just like, whatever the fuck this is, I want to do that. Because, Alex had the sticks on fire, and Eddie had the striped guitar, and they just looked fucking awesome. Prior to that, just a little bit, maybe a year before that happened, my grandmother listened to Elvis pretty significantly, and so she had a lot of Elvis records. And when Elvis died, and she was listening to Elvis records when I was like 3 years old, that was only a couple of years, So he'd only been dead for 3 or 4 years at that point. So I heard a lot of Elvis, and then I had MTV, and then I really got into Van Halen, and from that it just kind of opened the door.
Just an explosion of music.
Explosion, especially in the rock thing, like Corey was saying. The whole MTV hard rock kind of thing took over, and my grandmother lived in the city of Bowling Green. I lived out in the country, but when I'd come to visit her, I'd ride my bike around town, which is over off of Scottsville Road. If you know the turf, where Planet Fitness is now, the old Hobby Lobby.
Oh yeah.
There used to be a Hallmark there, and they had a magazine rack, and so I got Hit Parader, Metal Edge, Circus Magazine. They had Cream. What are the other ones? Like Guitar World and shit. Like all the music magazines. They had a whole aisle of just music magazines. So I discovered everything. And my brother and my cousin are a few years older than me. They were feeding me all the music stuff. Yeah. But I very much remember a lot of that. And I started playing around with guitars and drums when I was about 6. And by the time I was 12, and I was in a band.
Holy shit.
Yeah. My first concert was about half a mile from where we're sitting right now. I played in the school Christmas party at Bristow Elementary in 1988. And that was my first band. And it was shit. We were kids.
Yeah.
I had a guitar and a shitty amp, and my friend Dwayne had a snare and a bass drum and one cymbal. And we played like 3 songs or something.
Did you guys have a band?
And it was... No, we didn't.
Oh, man.
Now, that was in 6th grade. In 7th grade, I had a new band, and it was called Vandalism.
Ooh, okay.
Ashley Smith was the drummer for that.
Really?
Not shit.
Wow.
So, by the time I started playing music, like for real in bands, I was really, really young. But 2 bands stand out to me. To come back to where I'm sitting today in this punk realm, this is why I've always wanted to play punk rock music. Fear and the Misfits.
Okay.
They have been in my life since that point. And those records and those songs have been with me all the way up to today.
Favorite member of the band right here.
There you go. But as far as influences go, I mean, I'm the cliche person that says I listen to everything. I really do. But when it comes to what I care about, what I really like, it's the pop punk and the Southern California stuff. I love the punk rock of the early days of the Sex Pistols and the Ramones, and you can go down all those lists of everything that came out between the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I cram it all into one thing because to me, it's just good music.
Yeah.
It's not about sectioning it out and dissecting it to where, well, this is better than this, and I really look at it as one big thing. So
I think that's the way it's supposed to.
But
I'm working on
that. Punk was a big thing for me, and that's all these years I've ever been playing music. I've played cover bands, country bands, top 40 cover bands, rock bands. I've toured the country with different bands, playing mixtures of originals and covers and stuff. But I always wanted to be in a punk rock band. And I think the closest I ever got was that 7th grade thing up here at Warren East Middle School. Vandalism had a great name. We had a cool graphic logo, and we played like 2 or 3 shows. And I think back to those days a lot when this band started, because I made my own cassette covers. I took them up to the drugstore that had a copier. Yeah. You could make copies for 10 cents, and I would burn my own cassettes of our live show and scan and cut out the covers and fold them, and I still do all that shit today. So it goes back. It's like, for me, it's almost like come full circle.
Right.
You know, but I love everything that you guys love when it comes to, like, you know, NoFX, Green Day, Blink-182. These are huge influences on me. Right. And you'll hear it in our songs because I rip every fucking one of them off. But, you know, in a nice way.
Well, I think that's the thing about punk, though. It's kind of a rip-off of some other band.
Well, I mean, they say that punk was, like, they ripped off of, what, Chuck Berry and all that shit back in the day?
Yeah, I mean...
So, I mean there's only so many chords and notes.
There's a documentary, I don't know if it was the Epitaph story or the Fat Records story, but Fat Mike talked about how important punk rock music is just overall.
Yeah.
Right.
And how it all kind of took the same elements from all styles of music. Because Hank Williams was just as much of a punk approach mentality to music as Chuck Berry and Little Richard and even Fats Domino could have been, if you look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Lee Lewis was a punk rocker.
Right. Yeah, Johnny Cash was pretty punk.
I mean, it's, you know, Eddie Cochran and all the stuff that became rockabilly. I mean, it's just great shit.
Right.
So I'm finally being, you know, in this band, I'm finally playing the music I've always wanted to play.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Ta-da.
So now we find
and I love Taylor Swift.
Mine is going to be super, super
I mean,
weird.
before the show even started, he's throwing us top 5. So
yeah, I know.
I better have him at the back.
Yeah.
These are a whole lot easier.
Yeah. So I kind of grew up, like, in about 82, 83-ish. And it's weird because I grew up, like, in the country, and my dad was into, like, Skidder and all that shit. But I remember one of my dad's friends brought this mixtape over. It was a white cassette, and it had, all it had wrote on it was rap. And he gave it to me. And it
With
had...
a W.
No, it said rap. Rap. And, no, but I put it in, it was like, LL Cool J. Mm-hmm. And, so this was 83. LL Cool J.
83, 84.
You know, like, all the New York East Coast shit.
Yeah.
And then I remember the first 2 cassettes I bought when I was a kid, and I can't believe my mom let me buy them, but I bought Run DMC Raising Hell, Beastie Boys License to Ill, and Fat Boys Crush It. And those were the
wow.
3. Yeah, those were the 3 albums I had. And I'll never forget, like, man, we used to play basketball and listen to Run DMC Raising Hell. And I'll never forget, like, one night I was in my room listening to it, and we was listening to that, and it come on, and there was a lyric, and he said, "We leave all suckers in the dust, those dumb motherfuckers can't mess with us." And my mom looked at me like, "What?" I was like, "I didn't say it." She's like, "You can listen to it, just don't say it." But, so...
I didn't say that.
No, so I started out listening to hip-hop. I was big into, like, East Coast rap back in the day. And then the 2 things I remember was listening to the old school New York hip hop, and I remember the first time I heard Muddy Waters' "Mannish Boy." I thought, like, I remember hearing it when I was like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, when he started, like, saying what he was saying, I was like, "Man, I want to do that."
Yeah.
Because, like, he just, I mean, the way he said things and the way he did things, I was just like, man, that's cool. And I never really listened to rock music during school or during my childhood. I always listened to a lot of 80s pop. not the hair metal shit, like the Hall & Oates type stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was always into more the House of Pain was that's 90s, but I'll give you
he
that.
left out his love for Phil Collins, which I bet you relate to.
I love
Oh,
Phil.
yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
But speaking of House of Pain, I had the little bumper sticker on my '88 Nissan Sentra. Just so you know. I was
Just so
old school
you
House
know.
of Pain. But man, I loved all that shit. And then, in about 91, Allison Chains came out. The whole grunge thing hit, and I was just like, oh my God, what is this? And I do remember the first time I saw Man in the Box, the video, on MTV, because that was like my freshman year. We had just moved into a house in Cave City. First time I'd ever had cable. And this video comes on, and I'm like, this is the most evil shit I've ever seen. But for some reason, I like it. And so, like, I got into them, and then I just, like, got into the whole, like, 90s rock shit. And then when I graduated and moved out of the house, that would have been 95, 96. I was like, man, and I was always real artsy in school. I drew a lot, sketched, art club president, all that shit. And I'd always heard growing up, oh, if you can draw, or if you've got art talent, you can play music. I was like, well, fuck, let's see if it's for real. And so, like, when I was 19, I started trying to play guitar, and I was obsessed with it because I'm OCD about everything, and I was just into it. And I was in a bunch of cover bands, like playing 90s shit and all that. And then we started doing some original shit. I wrote a couple songs. I was like, man, this is cool. And then eventually, I was just like, man, fuck all this cover bullshit. I just want to play my own stuff.
Yeah.
And then Dina and I had talked about doing stuff forever. And, like, punk-wise, the thing that got me was Social Distortion. Yeah. I remember hearing them, and I was just like, man, this dude, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what guitar he's playing, but I want to sound like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was the best guitar tone I'd ever heard, the best songwriting, like, punk-wise. It was just so simple, 3-chord shit. But, like, when he would hit a G chord, it was just like, it would blow you out of the house, you know?
You feel that shit.
And I was just like, man, that's what I want. I want that.
Yeah.
And so,
Mike Ness is one of a kind.
Mike Ness,
like them.
in my opinion, like, as far as punk guitar players go, Mike Ness, Brian Baker, that's it.
Man.
There are no others.
Yeah.
There are no others. Don't get me wrong. You know, Billy Joe, he's got his shit going. They all got their, but them dudes are the OGs. And I know you can go back to the Sex Pistols and all that shit. But, like, to me, they just, like, took that shit to another level. And we talked about doing it. And I feel like Dean, like, almost didn't think I was serious about it. I was like, dude,
I didn't think he liked what I was doing as a solo artist. That's a true story.
It was not that I didn't like it. I did like it. I thought it was good. I came and saw y'all. But my problem with what you're doing as a solo artist is you were, like, distorting your voice.
Yeah,
you were doing all, you're if I gotta be completely honest, your production was shit.
But it was supposed to be.
It was supposed to be. But I also knew that he had this, like, the lyrics and the songwriting were good, and, like, it was catchy. Like, and I was like, man, that's really good. I was like, if I could get in a band with this dude, and we could, like, produce a record that was just like, and he didn't want to do it you didn't. When I started saying, man, we're going to do it this way, and you're like, ah.
Well, because I was skeptical about because I don't know. I've been burned a lot. And, I was just skeptical about it.
Yeah, but the thing about it is when we finally did it, it was like, listen, just sing. And it was fucking good.
He has a history with these other bands that did really well, and I didn't realize that he had done some of those records on
They didn't really do well.
Listen,
if they did, I would still
based on the music scene, I was in the music scene at the same time. We were both ships in the night kind of stuff. Wade and I have been in a lot of bands that did fairly well in our local music scene over the years. And I was very aware of what he was doing. Before we actually met, I was aware of who he was. I was aware of the bands he was in. But once we met and really got to know each other, I didn't realize he recorded some of those records in his basement, which is what we just did with this Mongo record, but with updated, modern, better equipment. And, to answer the thing, what he's saying, though, about why my early stuff was so crappy is because...
It wasn't crappy.
I know what you're saying, though.
Yeah.
Production.
It wasn't crappy. It wasn't crappy.
I want to clarify something real quick because I don't know if I've ever told you the story. I've been playing in cover bands for most of my 30s. And there was this one night where I was absolutely fucking furious. I was like, I'm so tired of playing songs that are other band, I was in different bands with singers. Some were female, some were male. So, this band does the female girl singer stuff. She does Heart, and she does Pat Benatar and Joan Jett, and that's great. And then you're in this other band with, a guy, and he does some cool shit, but you're up there doing the same fucking songs every show.
Yeah, over and over.
I had completely lost my identity. And I was a drummer at the time. And I was so fucking mad. I was driving home from a gig in fucking Central City. So I had a lot of time there. I was furious. And so I was like, I'm going to go to the music store. I'm going to buy some recording software like what's on that computer. I'm going to figure that out. I got a 4-track recorder. I've got a computer. I've got Cakewalk on it. I bought some microphones. I bought... at the time, I had all the drum equipment, so I bought a guitar and an amp and a bass, and I got everything I needed. Right. And I was like, I'm going to start writing and doing my own songs and play all the instruments and make records just to scratch that itch. And the next thing I know, I make a record of 10 songs, and a buddy of mine hears it, and he's like, dude, you've got to do this. This is what you need to be doing. And I was like, yeah, I do. And so I set out to do it, and that's why I made so many records, because I didn't know what I was doing as far as production. I found a way to just make sure the microphone was turned up and I could hear, because when you're playing drums to nothing,
right,
the song's in your head, the lyrics are taped on the cymbal stand, and you're just like, okay, I hope this turns out good so I can put guitar and bass to it. So that's why, because it was very cut and paste. I didn't know what I was doing. I've never written a song and sang it and played all the instruments at the same time. And, that goes back to me and my brother being in this band called Cerebral Metal, where I played drums and he played bass and guitar. I played some guitar, and we took turns singing. And that kind of helped me a little bit, but that's a whole other podcast.
Well,
Cerebral Metal is on
the thing about that,
CD,
though, was it wasn't the production level of the whole band.
Yeah.
It's just when you were singing,
sound quality.
you were trying to, you know what I mean?
I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, your confidence now is, way higher.
Because
and he's very, he won't say it, but I will. He writes really good songs and sings them really well. And it was really hard when we were doing this record. I was like, man, you gotta sing this way and do it this way. And he did.
Yeah, he actually produced it.
And I was just like, man, this is the shit. I've been in a lot of good bands with a lot of good people, and you can always tell, especially with a singer, when they write good songs and when they just come up with shit, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
And he's one of those dudes, But it's hard to get to that point to do what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was saying, to finally do this whole punk thing, which we talked about forever. And I was always a big punk fan, but nobody around here wanted to do that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to play punk music. That's stupid.
I think they get lost in the
whole punk
label. Are you talking about mohawks and safety pins through the nose,
leather jackets?
Are you going to come in here and destroy our stage and
anarchy?
Yeah. I think when you say
which is very cool, but
you
don't have to do it every time.
Yeah, most people think of it as more of a fashion statement, not what punk really is, I think.
But if you think about it, like right now, even the music that's out now, and that's where I get back to like my hip hop influences and stuff like that, is if you think about hip hop right now, I mean that's some of the most punk shit out. The stuff that they're doing is like they're taking every genre and putting it together. They're singing, they're rapping, they're making their beats, they're putting guitars in there, they're doing whatever.
Yeah.
And the production is like very punkish, you know. They're just like whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at like artists like Lil Uzi Vert, I mean, look at that dude, man. He's tattooed up, he's wearing crazy shit, his hair is fucked up. He's a punk rock artist.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, and there's a lot of dudes that are like that.
Right.
You know.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah, there's always been similarities between hip hop and punk.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And they all come from if you go back to the originations of all that shit, it all comes from blues. I mean, everything does.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Like if you listen to this record, every damn guitar lick that I play is a blues riff because that's what I grew up on, blues and hip hop. But it all comes from the same place. Blues. You know, beget rock, beget hip hop, punk rock, country, whatever you want to say. It's all from that.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's all there. I mean, if you listen to this, like before we got here, we rehearsed because we got a show on Friday, and we actually played the album in order, which we've never done because I mean, technically the album order wasn't even like finalized until like a month ago, but we played the album in its entirety, and it's all it's you can hear it. It's all there. All of these influences that we all have, and the influence of just music itself, modern music, coming from the turn of the century to now. It's there. You can hear it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Can't wait till Friday.
Oh yeah. Okay, we had tremendous listen.
Well, before we get you guys out of here, you guys want to play a little game?
Yes.
Yeah. That's,
I can't wait to play this.
Is it
game.
Yeah.
Is it Uno?
No, it's Street Poker.
I'm good at Uno.
Connect 4? Come on.
Okay, so I was supposed to have all this written out, and it's still on my phone for the time being.
Unprofessional fork.
Yeah, well,
That's fine. See, you didn't have to say that, and we would have never known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
I
DIY.
understand how to
DIY.
do it.
Yeah, that's how you gotta do it.
Alright, so we're going to play a little game called Trust Fall. Basically, I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, and we're going to find out at the end if you guys are trustworthy or not. If we can trust you guys.
I'm gonna say no.
I would trust this fucking guy.
I was saying, he did the hat pull off and everything, so.
Okay, well, it's all goofy questions.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not like.
Would you rob a
have
bank
you
with a
murdered
pregnant
somebody
woman?
or something
Because
like
we have.
that.
We totally didn't do that.
So, we already talked about influences, but this one matters to me a whole lot.
Okay.
Is NoFX at least in your top 3 favorite punk bands?
Yes, for me, yeah.
Yes.
We have a song called Eat Fuck, and I wrote that song because I completely 100% ripped off Dinosaurs Will Die.
Oh,
Nice.
shit.
No shit.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Did you
man.
even know that?
Stop ripping them off, though.
Look up, NoFX played at Resurrection Fest, I think in 2014 or something like that. They opened the show with a song called Dinosaurs Will Die. And what album's that on?
Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah.
No. The yellow one. The yellow cover with the dude falling. It might be on 2 albums, actually, a live album. And
Yeah, it's Pump Up the Volume, right? Because Wolves and Wolves Clothing is the one you're talking about, the yellow one.
Yeah, I think it's on that. Anyway.
Yeah, so either way, it's a great song.
I'm going Pump Up the
That
Volume.
song, if you go to YouTube and watch NoFX at Resurrection Fest, that's the song they kind of, well, they don't open with it, but they go into it first as far as the full throttle. And we have a song called Eat Fuck, and when I wrote that song, the riff and everything, you see it. You can hear where the influence came from for me as the songwriter. But it doesn't.
Well, I already like the song.
It doesn't rip it off completely. But you'll hear the intro.
I'm assuming if I say no, I'm not trustworthy.
Hey, you take a tally at the
So
end,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. They're probably in my top 5.
Hey,
Okay.
But
give
but,
them that.
I have to give you the reason. Because my top 3 would be Social Distortion, Bad Religion, Pennywise.
My dude, what the hell?
And then,
Hell yeah.
Then they would be 4 or 5.
You guys, oh,
I
yeah.
can live with
Yeah.
that. So halfway trustworthy.
Yeah.
That leaves you then.
And
Although being into hair metal, I'm going to assume probably not.
No, Corey has
And
no
already
effects
you weren't
on
playing
his.
the game, and that goes
Yeah,
against me.
no,
Not
He's got no effects on
I don't
his.
know where they would be in my top list, but they're totally in a rotation of all the punk bands I listen to on my Spotify.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
all
own
that matters.
every record.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan, and as a bass player, lead singer, Fat Mike
What's
is one
the
of my
one
go-to.
about where he's talking
Absolutely.
about talking about chicks giving blowjobs to the people in the Middle East?
72 hookers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love that.
Shout out
song
terrorists.
a lot.
That's
There we
a
go.
great fucking song.
Yeah, I do love that song.
Brilliant song.
Yeah.
You know, Steel Panther had a song similar. It's called "I Fucked 17 Girls in a Row."
That's so on the notes.
So apparently, Steel Panther is his favorite.
I saw them live. I saw them live.
He loves to.
Oh, okay. You saw it live though. That's different. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Did you get to fuck at least one of the girls in a row?
I didn't. They weren't sharing.
No doubt.
I'm the most trustworthy then because I own all the records and I have both seasons of
He-
Backstage Passport on DVD.
Oh,
Yeah, he would totally be the one.
True
who-
fan.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hell yeah.
I win.
Okay. Yeah, we just became really good friends. Okay, let's see. So they're not all music questions, but we're going to start off with those just
We're
because
good
you
at
guys
those.
are a fan.
We're good at those.
Okay, so Gibson
Gibson.
Gibson Flying V or Gibson Les Paul?
Oh, that's not even a question.
We still got to answer.
Les Paul.
Yeah, Les Paul.
Okay.
Comfort
Les Paul.
wise.
Let's pause. Wow.
All right.
Yeah, same.
I mean,
Looking
Flying
good
V's
so far
are,
then.
Yeah.
Flying V's are weird to play.
they're cool, but only
They're more image.
You
Hendrix
have
can
one.
pull.
Did you have? You do have.
I've
one.
had many.
But
I
you
don't
do have
have
one now.
No,
Okay.
I do not.
All right. Have you ever gotten drunk at a concert and yelled "Play Freebird"?
No.
No, I did not.
Like for real playing or just like being a dickhead? Because that makes a difference.
It does. I think it's still equally disgusting, but
I've never done that.
I'm going to say
No.
no.
I'll say this. As musicians, we are used to people being drunk and saying
Yeah.
us
Yeah.
That's
play
true.
free.
Yeah.
I probably have not ever.
okay. If you were being ironic about it, we'll let it slide.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it wasn't like a
Fuck Freebird,
like a
man.
big concert. It was like some local shit at 10 Miles. So I was like, Freebird, motherfucker.
Yeah, see,
You know,
what
like
he
that
just
shit.
said means that he's the perfect person. All three of you are the perfect people to be on here.
Right.
Fuck Freebird. Hell yeah.
Fuck free.
All right. Have you
I respect
ever
him.
have you ever worn a bucket hat to a Kid Rock show?
God damn,
Fuck Kid Rock.
Gosh,
First of all,
Yeah, thank God. Now,
Fuck
that's the
Kid
perfect
Rock.
answer.
no.
and I've never been to his concerts.
No.
Fuck him and fuck Hank Williams Jr. and fuck Bucket Hat.
Good answer to all three. All right. Let's see.
Oh, God.
If you go to eat hot dogs, will you eat them straight out of the package?
No.
You cook them?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Grill.
Looking good.
Yeah.
Grill them.
Ooh,
Microwave,
grills,
at
man.
least something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Put some
And-
heat on my hot dog.
Get a lighter.
Grilled
all
and
beef
flat
grill.
Yeah.
I'm not boiling them and I'll put them in a fucking
I
microwave.
want them motherfuckers black,
Yes.
like burnt up, and then I'll eat them.
So at every band rehearsal, you guys are just passing out hot dogs straight out?
Ugh.
No, but we rehearsed a couple weeks ago and Wade cooked out for us.
I
and it
did
was
make hot
fucking
dogs, and
delicious.
they were nicely,
They were delicious.
yeah.
They weren't hot dogs though.
They were brats.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
better.
brats.
Yeah, fuck hot dogs. We eat brats.
All right.
Balling.
Have you ever seen a horror movie in theaters and screamed at the character to not go in there?
Time out. Horror or horror?
Horror.
All right, repeat the question.
Don't go in there.
Yeah, he's been in some horror movies.
Wait a minute.
All right, I'll redo it. Have you ever seen a horror movie in theaters and screamed at the character to not go in there?
I haven't done it in the movies, but I've done it at home. You know, it's just that
Yes.
In the privacy of your home, it's
Yeah.
I know I've done it at the
I knew you had.
jackass! Don't know better than
He's
that.
going there! What are you doing? Yeah, I did.
But it's not because I'm concerned for their safety.
And
I'm
if
like,
the
you
question
dumb
was horror
fucking
movie,
cunt,
I also
don't go
said,
in there.
bitch, don't go in there!
I don't think I've ever seen an actual horror movie
Horror
in a theater.
or horror?
I've seen plenty of
He
horror
don't like
movies.
scary movies.
In theaters?
No, I don't.
He didn't like scary movies.
I don't either.
Hang
I
on.
don't.
I
I like
no,
horror
did.
movies.
I did.
But
I
not
saw.
horror movies.
I saw Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, but there was
When I was a
titties.
kid.
There was titties in that movie too.
I think that's
If
why I
you've
went.
seen a horror movie in theaters, you're old as fuck. I just want you to know that. Because no one's showing sex movies.
We are very.
Oh, I haven't seen it. So just
I
to
don't
be
know if the
clear,
gray hair gave it away. but
just
yeah,
to be
we're some
clear,
kind of old-
I haven't seen a horror movie in theaters. But if I did see a horror movie in theaters, I'd be like, "Bitch, get out of there!" That's all I'm saying.
Alright, we got a couple more. Have you ever started the wave at a baseball game?
No, but I've been part of the wave.
Yeah,
of the
yeah, I've been
baseball.
part.
As of I.
I was gonna say I tried, but no one partaked. So
Hey, sometimes you just gotta join what's going on around you. I'm saying if you started it.
I think it makes more
I didn't
sense if
start
they
one.
started on the ends.
Yes.
And it comes around.
I have started one of these waves though.
oh.
I have done that a couple times.
I don't know what's worse.
I don't.
Yeah.
How do you know what that's called? The octopus?
I'm not trustworthy.
That's with Katrina and the wave.
Let me ask you this: how many Fast and the Furious movies have you seen?
None.
Good answer.
All right.
I've seen like clips of some here and there. I do know who are in them, but
I bet you watched the whole fucking thing.
No,
He's
That
a
one dude
movie
that
watching
died,
motherfucker.
I was hoping when he died that would end the movies, but it
Right.
didn't.
It didn't.
So.
I have,
Is that bad to
I
say?
have seen them all.
I've said it on here before.
I have seen them all.
By choice or just because they
Just
were
because
on?
they've been on TV.
Oh.
That's
But TBS.
Of course. It was
No,
TBS.
it's FX. FX
Same
plays them
thing.
every fucking week.
Same.
Corey is
Every fucking
the
week.
movie guy.
Yeah, I don't
in
know
the
if
band.
that's a good reason to like get away with watching Fast and the Furious. Like,
He
being
watches
on a
everything.
diet
He
and
watches
saying
everything.
like, oh,
So
I ate the
we
chocolate
play a
cake.
game.
It was
Hold
I
on.
could name three. I could possibly name.
And I would totally eat the chocolate cake just because it's
Was The Rock in that?
Yeah.
Which one?
The Rock, the later one.
Yeah, yeah.
The
The
later
dude
one.
that died, Paul. What's it saying?
Paul Walker.
What's he saying?
And who was the other?
Vin Diesel?
Vin Diesel. Yeah,
Because The Rock and Vin Diesel like hate each other now because of the
Actually,
movies and
fun
shit.
fact:
as they should.
Vin Diesel owns the rights to the Fast and the Furious. Those are his.
Okay. Well, that shows
He's
you
a
where we're
billionaire.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Billion with a B.
Yeah.
B.
We play a game where Corey says, "Have you ever seen this movie?" And I always say no, and he's like,
Dude,
"What?
I talked.
God, really?"
I talked to a 19-year-old the other day. We talked about movies back from 1974. That
You're a movie
He knew
buff.
more about movies than you know about anything.
I watch Star Wars religiously.
So it's
All
safe
the
to
time.
say that you're the music buff and you are the movie
I
buff
love
of
movies.
the thing then.
Man,
Okay.
I talk in movie quotes half
Yeah.
the day.
He's a movie fuck. He's a movie buff. He watches everything. I watch Star Wars a lot, over and over again, and I watch some stuff. I like some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, most movies I've seen once.
Mm-hmm.
Like people go, "Have you ever seen Anchorman?" And then they start quoting it, and I'm like, "Well, I've seen it once."
Yeah. But you're not
That's it.
religiously
I
watching
don't know it by heart. I don't.
You're not like out training.
Right.
I love William.
Oh God, it's so hot out here. Milk was
No
a bad choice.
Yeah.
I think I see more
Anchorman.
memes than movies.
Yeah,
you
or
know?
clips. Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
I don't have to watch movies because all my friends just fucking quote them for
That's
me.
right.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right,
Game.
one more question.
Okay.
Will you drink warm beer?
Fuck yes.
No.
No.
Fuck yes.
Absolutely
No. Warm beer
Hey,
is
you got
bad.
one? I thought this was like the bonus question.
No, motherfucker, because you can trust me.
It's got to be 1 degree away from almost being frozen.
Oh.
That's the best.
Oh, absolutely.
I like cold beer.
Well, I do too, but I mean, a warm beer is better than no beer.
I don't know how those motherfuckers over in Europe and Germany drink beer. I mean, it's
Because
Guinness is
because they're
different.
fucking studs.
But
that's
that's
how.
different types of. That's
They
different
fucking
brewing.
love beer. That's why.
Mhm.
You don't have a warm beer I can have.
No,
It's
I
just
don't.
a cold beer, anything.
No,
I would have gave it to you already. Yeah.
warm.
we'd be drinking.
Actually, when I leave
I
here, I'm
think
gonna
they
drink
just
warm
have
beer.
mayonnaise on fucking.
Because it's hot as fuck outside.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just.
Well, lucky for
European,
you,
I'm
we
a
took the tally as a group.
Uh-huh.
So I think your bandmates kind of made up for some of your inconsistencies. I would say ultimately Mongo is a
trustworthy band.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
buy
only
our
had
record.
like 2 questions that I fucked up.
Really? That's why you're
Eh,
passing.
whatever.
It's passing.
We got your back when you get jumped.
I'm still drinking. Fuck y'all, I'm drinking warm beer.
Now let me ask you one more question, and this is not about the game. This is about your band. Does your band name come from Chris Kattan, character of SNL fame?
No,
No.
Tell a story.
it does not.
Mongo's a skate term.
Oh right. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
that should
Yeah,
have
you
been.
kick Mongo.
You
Yeah.
kick Mongo. It's where
Right.
you ride your board all fucked up.
Mhm.
You know, you used to ride it, but still. You know.
Corey's like a true, really good professional type skateboarder.
No.
He's really good. We are more riding to cruise.
I'm a longboarder guy because I ain't
Yeah,
trying to fuck
we
my
have
shit up.
longboards and we cruise around and just kind of use them for mobility. He actually goes in the bowl and skates and like Corey
Damn.
builds skateboards.
I'm
Link
old school
skateboard,
transition
Link
skater.
skateboards.
Yeah.
And yeah, so when we started the band, we were kind of going back and forth with name ideas, and he threw Mongo out there, and I was like, I like it.
It's because you said, if you go
I
back
wanted
and look,
one word.
all one word, but he said all the bands that are made in punk, they all start with M.
Yeah, think about the greatest bands of all time: Motorhead, Megadeth, Metallica, Misfits. Like
They're
you can go
one
on and on.
word M words.
M's have some of the strongest
Social
bands.
distortion ain't one word and starts with an M.
I know that.
There is no effects, though. I actually
Exactly.
disagree with you.
See, I'm trustworthy.
He was looking for
I'm
that.
talking about one word bands.
You won me back.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, you guys want to tell everybody where they can check you
Get your
out?
plugs out.
Get the plugs out.
The plugs are easy. We are on Coffin Curse Records out of Knoxville, Tennessee. And if you look up Coffin Curse Records online or Google Coffin Curse Records, you will find everything that they have. And we are part of that family, which is an amazing indie.
Was that police knock?
What the fuck?
Someone's supposed to be. This might derail the podcast.
Oh, keep it on.
It's probably your car parked in somebody's yard.
Could be.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When your friends have got their car in my yard, would you have to move it, please?
Oh, yeah, I got you. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Let's wait.
I told you not to
My
park
bad.
Well, we're done anyway,
All right.
right?
Well, on that note,
On that note,
Wait, before we...
Coffin Curse Records. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, Facebook,
Bandcamp.
and Bandcamp, and just look up Mongo or
Don't,
Mongo.
don't park in
Punk
anybody's yard because I get real pissed off about that shit apparently.
and remember,
Is he mowing?
don't
take
take
shit
shit
from
from
nobody.
nobody.
Fuck that dude. He wants me to move my car.